great yesterday last night really about teamwork, outboarding on defense as opposed to everything that is the way you guys have been. How much of a change is that really? How much have you guys been attacking gaps?
Well, each week's a little different, and it's not as big a deal as sometimes in coverage based on what your safeties are. Do you try to thicken up and buck up things, and your little, when I say two gap, you're kind of being thick on a guy and occupying a guy, and you're kind of playing A and B, and then you're kind of slow versus, hey, I just got the A gap, and this guy's got the B gap, and this guy's got the C gap, and it's a little more assertive. And I think we thought from the first game against Ball State, and we'll keep doing that defensively, but in the first game when we kind of got head up, we just kind of didn't get off blocks. We kind of just got caught, and we weren't able to occupy and get off blocks as much. So we thought by maybe getting a little bit more and we've done that. I mean, that happened the next week against Virginia. Instead of being head up on guards, we're a little bit more inside or outside shades. Instead of being as head up. And at the same time, last week, South Carolina State did some things. We wanted to come back and get a little bit more head up. So it's just a subtle tweak. It's no different than sometimes a receiver widening a split, tightening a split, a cornerback tucking inside to take away an inside route, or lining up outside because he's got outside help. You're always tweaking a little bit. It's not a huge philosophical deal, but what you do when you do those things is you have to match the coverage with it, and the safeties know what they're doing, the corners know what they're doing. So it's not like it's a brand new defense. It's just basically taking a part of our package and emphasizing some other things a little bit more than we were doing from the start.
So it's kind of a play-by-play thing. Like you're doing both. You're having something.
Correct. Certain situations, certain formation groups, certain schemes, certain weeks. So again, it's no different than offensively when you've got inside runs, outside runs. 1 week you might be more inside oriented because of the defense. Next week outside. Same passing game. Is it quick passes, move the pocket? Defensively, it's all part of the package. And for example, Game 3 was a lot like Game 1 as far as some of the things we wanted to do, but that was because of the opponent and their structure and their style of offensive play. So each week, I know Coach Mallory, Coach Eckler, but not those two, also Coach Dearson and Coach Hagan will keep implementing their thoughts on trying to get, Replogle and Black and Sliger and those guys making plays, the guys off the edge, et cetera.
After watching the tape, beyond the penalties, how do you think you guys did against South Carolina State?
Again, defensively, we got to show up and tackle a little bit better. Angles, safety, corner supports, getting off blocks up front. Didn't get a lot of pressure on the quarterback. I did a couple times blitzing. We played pretty good third down defense, but there's some drives we didn't get them to third down. They were first down, first down getting 4, 5, 6, second down getting 4, 5, 6, and it was first down again. We never got to third down. When we got them, when we played some good first down defense, got them to second long, got them to third and long. I think they were 4-14, and that's reasonable, and that's okay defensively, kind of where you want to be. You'd like to be even more greedier and better than that, but that was good. The deal was there's some drives we didn't get them there. We let them stay in there too many plays, getting 4 and 5, 4 and 5, 4 and 5. So we got to keep working again on attacking the gaps, getting off blocks, taking 4-yard plays and getting them down to 1 and 2. Again, you look at us, our yards per attempt. It's like we're working really hard, moving it down the field, and we want people to work equally as hard against us. And offensively, we don't want to work as hard. We want to have some chunk plays and some big plays. So, but it was, there was some okay stuff.
With the penalties and also with some of the mistakes that are made on the field, the young guys are going to make mistakes. But is it more frustrating when the older guys are the seniors are the ones that are making mistakes?
Well, yeah, it's frustrating for all of them, and you coddle the young guys and say it's an excuse because he's a young guy. When you're making a bunch of mistakes, to me, it's a couple things. One time, what's the guy's confidence level or maturity or thought process that's causing him to think about things where he's missing an assignment, missing a play, having a penalty. There's a lot of football is far from a game of perfect, so there's a lot of errors. So whether it be missed assignments, blown coverages, missed tackles. I mean, there's always the negatives that you try to eliminate, the self-inflicted wounds, as Coach Sept and I used to call them at Miami of Ohio years ago. So you try to decrease those each and every week. And last week, those crept in really big. First game, reasonably clean, not a lot of effort. Now our effort's picked up. We're getting a little bit sloppy. Now we got to get it balanced and get some of the sloppiness back out. So to say it's a young guy, it's an excuse, I don't get that. I always think, again, what's the guy's confidence level? What's he thinking? Number two, what are you practicing? Because are you doing things where he's thinking so much that you're cluttering his mind. So, when typically you have errors, you also got to look in the coaching format. What are you doing that's enabling this guy to jump all sides as many times as he did? Or are we getting sloppy in practice habits and our hands are getting outside and we're clamping and getting cheap holding calls? So, again, a lot of times you can point fingers at the players, but you also need to make sure you're pointing a thumb at yourself and your practice and what you're doing as you move forward. So to me, it's a double-edged deal, and I think a lot of that falls back on our shoulders as coaches.
The penalties, how would you evaluate how your young freshmen did up on the offensive line?
They played hard, we missed some stuff. I think as the game went on, they settled down. I think we always get a little bit more nervous and make it bigger than it is. Most opponents aren't near as good as you think they are. You build them up bigger than they are, or you get, the self-doubt creeps in. But I think as they played, they came along. I thought Colin Rorick did a nice job. He's kind of a competitor, got a little juice, a little fire in him, and he did well. Peyton settled down, but both he and Bernard need to keep coming along, and we need to compliment them with the old guys. Be interesting again. I'm really just anxious to see us move forward. Our old guys really want to, if you keep practicing the same way and you're getting results that aren't good, you're going to get the same results. So I was just getting tired of seeing, some average practice from a team that was losing, and thought we'd give the next man up a chance to do it. And short term, those guys did well, but we're going to need those other guys to. It'd be nice for some of the other guys to come back and compliment them, and that's one of our goals right now. I don't think if our players understand, if you don't like your situation as a team or you don't like your situation as a player, the only one that's going to change it is you. And so the way you practice, the way you approach meetings, and the way you do it. So if you don't like your bed of roses, you need to change where you're at. And be interested to move forward to see what these guys always challenge their sense of pride, their sense of fiber, and see if they want to respond. Be interested to move forward. Young guys did well. Be great to see the old guys compliment them too, though.
How do you, set up a competition like that? I guess we're now a couple weeks into the season and it's kind of game week stuff. How do you kind of set up?
Against coaches, you can be negative and yell, and you can do a bunch of running, and we've done all that a little bit. But, I think it was Coach Wooden's book, which I appreciate him a great deal, was, the bench is one of the greatest competition in the bench are your two greatest allies as a coach. And the other day we used the second choice. We've tried to create competition. We've tried to get a lot of freshmen playing. And the next thing you do, one of our deals as an offense, for example, is we say all the time, you earn the opportunity to get the ball in your hands. You earn the opportunity to play. It's not given to you. It's not handed to you. You earn it. So, as you move forward, just be interested to see, time on task, how they practice, how they perform. To me, we're always moving forward. We better be. And that's my challenge to these guys. And does everyone embrace that? I don't know. I guess not everyone's going to. I don't think we have issues. At the same time, and trying to get our program going the way it needs to go, working hard, competition, that works for me, and that's what we're trying to build. It'd be nice to see how some of our young men respond. I'm expecting them to respond the right way, but you never know. We'll see.
Is there a silver lining in the sloppy win, kind of keeping guys maybe more focused after a win than they might be if they came out and played really well?
I don't know. I'd hope not. Again, to me, we work. We see all the time. We put in, to me, thousands of hours for a few days. For 60 minutes times, 12, 13, 14 times. So, and half of that 60 minutes, about 60% of 60 minutes isn't your time. It's the defense and special teams time. So, you get a few snaps. Right now we got 220 some plays on as an offense. Defense 211 or something like that. So think of all the time you put in for those runs. So I would hope as we try to install our values to our men that they would never be arrogant and think that we're so far away from being what we're capable of being this year, let alone being as good as we'd like to be as we move forward. That I don't think whether we're sloppy or not, I don't think if it's bad coaching by me if this team thinks that they've arrived and we don't respect practice and respect our opponent, come to play the next game. I've always had a saying, as soon as you think you've got it, you're getting ready to get it, because the margin of error, and it's so slight to be. I thought defensively we were much more on edge against Virginia. And I think they had a decent offensive numbers game against Carolina, it looked like, although they lost the game. But we were on edge and played a lot of fire in the last game. I don't know if we were quite on that edge. Wasn't bad, but it wasn't quite on that edge. And it was just a little off, but just a little that the angles and getting to a tackle didn't happen like it happened the week before. And as we move forward, it's what we keep trying to build on. Very few games, very few plays, and it doesn't take but just a little bit to be off, and that's enough to get beat.
Talk a little bit about North Texas, and also they've got the got an
you said whether to kick it to him or not.
If we're kicking to him, means well, if it's kickoffs, that means we're scoring a lot, so that's a good deal. So, I mean, there's a double edge to that. So I hope we're kicking off a lot to him. But we're doing pretty good in kick cover. I think, it's one of the things, I think Coach Hagan's got that team and got, some young cats on there running down and we'll see. We need to. Last week we made a big deal about South Carolina State and they got one out on us. They got called back with a block in the back. Their kid coming in last week was 22 yards of punt return. And they popped one on us that was called back. That would have been, you look at the way that game ended, that would have made that a 3-point game down the stretch instead of a 10-point game a couple times. So that's definitely a concern. Again, with those guys though, to me the situation is, we're going into their stadium. It'll be an exciting deal for them. It's their second game in there. It's a brand new facility. They have a new coaching staff. They're looking for their first win. They've played 3 quality opponents. Florida International is off to a 3-0 start, having beaten North Texas, Louisville, and they've beaten Central Florida that everybody thought was going to be a heck of a team this year. Some people are voting Central Florida top 25. So International's off to a good start. Houston's 3-0, doing well like they've been doing the last few years. They played Bama. So they played 3 really good teams. So again, kick coverage will be well. Their running back last year's 8th in the nation in rushing. Run defense is going to be key. And offensively, we've been an offense that has looked okay at times, but we sputter around and we let people kind of hang around. And you go on the road and you don't convert situations, you have turnovers, you don't score, you kick field goals, you let an opponent hang around, and those kick returns are huge, and they get momentum, and you get in a dogfight. So I think this game's going to be a bigger challenge than most, and I'm looking forward as we build what we're doing to see if our guys can have the week it needs. Now we're coming off a little success. Can we practice hard after success? We talked about it last week, practicing hard after failure. Can we practice hard after success? Can we take it on the road? And we're going to get a good challenge from North Texas, not just kick return in all phases. Their running back's a heck of a player.
Their defense is, by the numbers, worse than in the FBS, 120. Is that because of the opponents they have, or is that because of the talent?
It's not. I don't think time-wise as much as again scheme-wise. Now they're going to do everything they can to stop the run with their backer and safeties, and they've played some players that they get some guys one-on-one that have made some plays one-on-one. I think offensively they probably had some turnovers and some situations field-wise where their opponents had a good, tough advantage. But again, you look at Houston; they've lit the scoreboard up as any. Alabama's going to play as salty a defense and not give you anything. And again, they got off to the Florida International played great against them in their openers. So to me, I look at their defense and they don't look like they would be the worst defense in the nation. So that's just, I think, a number from playing 3 great teams. Coach McCarney, defensive guy. I know their defensive coordinator, Clint Bowen, real well. He's at Kansas a few years ago going against him. And they're going, it's going to be a challenge for us. So I don't think this is a game we're going to just line up and here we go. We're going to have to block well with some young guys, fight our tails off, find some run game, have some balance, see if our quarterbacks will continue to manage as we drive the ball, get some touchdowns instead of field goals.
You mentioned the tailback. I guess what impresses you about that part? What makes it this year?
Well, again, this year's been a little bit of struggle when you're playing Bama and Florida National early. But he's kid, he's been there several years and kind of had knew of him with some of the press and stuff when I was down that region the last couple of years. I mean, in their programs, you have a kid that ran hard, ran by his pads. They ran him enough that he got some rhythm and continuity. And I know Alabama played great defense against him last week, but they do that against most folks. So I'm sure he'll be looking at our defense and ready to answer the bell. And again, I think that'll be one of the keys to the game is how does our run defense continue to improve, because we're still not where we need to be. Offensively, as we got our run game going last week, all of a sudden Ed looked good. We had some balance. We had a decent day. They're in the same situation there. If they can run the football, they'll then play on their terms. Third downs aren't an issue because they're moving the ball, staying on schedule. So I think the key of the game is one of the keys will be their running game, their running back, and our defensive ability to play some good run D.
Does it help that some of the guys have experience playing these kind of games? They played at Akron, they played at West Virginia in previous years.
Yeah, the thing I'm talking to our guys about is that we're going on the road, and you've got to be margin of error is less on the road. You can't kick field goals. You can't overcome turnovers because you energize their crowd. You can't have all the penalties and play with long fields. So not that you need to play perfect, but your margin of error is less, number one. Number two, when you play in the Big Ten, you need to get used to playing in road games and playing well, because you're going to be, every week in our league, you're going to go to a challenging environment, play a good opponent, and you need to learn to win those games. Like we talked a week ago, when you get in close games, it was nice the other day. I loved to see our defense play a little bit better in the second half. I appreciate the offense, the way they came back every time. That was a nice response, even though it was at home and against an FCS guy. We talked about playing tough down the stretch. Well, to be a good team in this league, we got to learn to be tough, and that means you got to be a tough team on the road. So I'm looking forward to this just being a road game, whether we played at Akron a year ago or Western Kentucky. I want to use this as an example, because we used the Ball State game, even though it was at Lucas, we used it as a home game. Practiced here, stayed in our hotels. We used it to get used to our environment. Didn't work for that game, but that was the thought process in prepping it. Now, as we move forward, this is our first true road game. How do we travel on the road, keep our concentration level, get on edge? How do you feed off the other crowd's energy level? Their crowd was, I mean, they had Houston playing in silent count. The first game down there, 20-some thousand, stadiums were close. It was loud. It was a good deal. So I look forward just to seeing if we're going to make some steps in building our team, because we're going to, a couple weeks later now, here we go to Wisconsin, here we go to Iowa. So I'm looking forward to seeing how our young men want to play on the road. Don't think we've had a great track record of being a good road team. And so that being said, I'm seeing this as a road game, not comparing it to playing at Akron or something. Anything else?
Do you expect D'Angelo Roberts to continue to have as big a role in the offense going forward as he did against South Carolina State?
Like a lot of those freshmen, the more they play, you know, the more they'll keep coming along. I think the coaches get more confident, but the kids get more confident. They know what they're doing. D'Angelo's issues, young guys just, you know, getting lined up right all the time, making sure you go the right way all the time, pass pro who you got all the time, what's the route. There's a lot more going on, and that's where as coaches, I keep talking about make sure we're not practicing so much. We're not giving kids a chance to get better. Because as a coach, sometimes you try to, you always have the answer. Do this one, do this, do this, do this. And you got to put yourself in position of that kid, and we got a bunch of young kids. So the key is, are we getting repetitions and we're repeating things in practice where kids can get better? So the more D'Angelo plays, the better he'll be. I would still hope that will inspire Matt Perez and Stephen Houston. A comment I made to Stephen yesterday in one of his runs where I didn't think he expressed the play properly is, how many carries did you have the other day? How many plays did you play? And do you want to practice on Monday and not get more carries? Well, you're just showing me you don't want more carries. Pick it up a little bit. So the key thing as we're moving forward is trying to teach our players how to respond to D'Angelo. How do you respond for a 100-yard game? Is that all you want? You know, I mean, that's not a whole lot, and that wasn't that good. And it's nice, and it sounds good, and it's great. He was the Big Ten Freshman of the Year. That wasn't that big a deal. And if that's all he wanted, he's got low standards. And that's what we're trying to teach our guys, how to have high standards, how to respond, how to keep coming. And he'll have a bigger role. I'd love to see the other two guys reach up. That's really what I'm trying to see, too. I'd like to see what the other two guys got. So that'll be interesting as we move forward. Okay, guys? Appreciate it.